Hey guys, this is Lucas and welcome to my channel, coming at you from the floor in front of my writing desk. Today I want to talk about why Plant Daddy is the best daddy. You know, part of what keeps content creators making what they want to make is a sort of nostalgia, carving out a little nook for themselves that helps them capture little pieces of time, little parts that we can look back on and think, yeah, that was a good time. For me, one of those time capsules is Goosebumps. But before I get into that, I just want to take a moment to thank Matilda Gothica. She's been one of my subscribers for fucking forever, and you're amazing. Back to nostalgia. I tend to gush about Goosebumps, and three of the books I like most from the series are A Shocker on Shock Street, The Horror at Camp Jelly Jam, and Stay Out of the Basement. I plan on doing separate videos of A Shocker on Shock Street and other Goosebumps books in the future, but I'm going to be talking about this one. Now, I will be going into spoilers towards the end of this video as to what happens in the book and what the ending is like and what I like about it. However, I'm not going to be going too much in detail, and also, if you want to read this book, I highly suggest reading it first, taking a day and just reading through it, and then coming back. Now, this book is about two 12-year-olds. Boy, I've really narrowed down the Goosebumps series, haven't I? It's about two 12-year-olds, Casey and Margaret, who have a dad who's absolutely insane. This dad is very standoffish, kind of abusive to his kids, and he sort of locks himself in his basement and just sort of works with these plants. He's a botanist, and he got fired from his job at Polytech, I think they said, and he's working in the lab to create something, a new type of creature that will get back at the establishment and maybe get him some cred in the scientific community. So you get the typical preteen adventure with Casey and Margaret throwing a frisbee. Throwing a frisbee seems to be the fallback when nothing's going on in the series. And it doesn't take long for the story for the kids to wander into the basement out of curiosity, and just as curiosity got the cat, the father is at the foot of the stairs and yells up to them, "Stay out of the basement." We are in the story. What I like about this book is that it has a lot of scares and fake outs, but not as many as other Goosebumps books. Usually when they say like, oh, something happened, or oh, there's a scary thing over here, or oh, there's a monster, or oh, someone got kidnapped or killed or whatever. Next chapter you find out, oh, they were just faking it, or it was a trick of the light, or it wasn't what they thought it was, or it was a movie. But this book doesn't do that as often. Sometimes when you have horrors like what the hell is up with those plants, the next chapter, the plants are moaning, the plants are sighing, and the plants are whipping things. So there's an action and there's payoff when it comes to the scares. So I appreciate that part of it. What I don't like, though, is R.L. Stine should have used a thesaurus, because they say the word tendril like 50 times in this book. And I have a similar problem with A Shocker on Shock Street. I forgot the word he uses, but he uses this exact same word to describe the werewolves in the story, to describe their fangs. And he uses this word like 18 times. So likewise, with this book, he uses the word tendrils all the damn time. Which, I mean, is kind of lazy, because you could say vine, you could say tentacle, even though that's not anatomically accurate. You could say appendage, you could say arm. And yeah, if you want to go bougie with it, you could use complex words that maybe a 12-year-old wouldn't understand, but that would just encourage them to look it up in the dictionary. But I'm going off on a tangent. Casey and Margaret are yelled at by their father to stay out of the basement. Their mother has to leave because she has to go to Tucson. I pity anybody who ever has to go to Tucson. And she has to be there for her sister, who is getting unspecified surgery for an unspecified illness that she's having. And so Casey and Margaret are staying home with their estranged father while their mother is off comforting her sister. The kids have to evade their father's emotionally abusive, not in an aggressive way, mind you, but emotionally abusive and gaslighting personality. And they have to circumvent that while also maintaining their schoolwork, because, you know, that's a thing, and figuring out the mystery. Sometimes they enlist the help of their science friend Diane, and sometimes Diane is really mean. Diane calls their father a mad scientist and says that he's weird, which, I mean, she's not wrong, but uncalled for, Diane. Now this is where the spoilers come in. Casey and Margaret eventually find out that their dad has been replaced by a plant dad. And harkening back to what I said before, this plant dad ends up being the best dad around because he offers contrast to the regular dad. Because I think the commentary in this book is quite nice, because it talks about like feeling estranged from your parents and feeling like your parents are out to get you in a sense. And so I thought that was really neat. In the climax of this book, the plant dad that has replaced the real dad is trying to usurp the throne, as it were, and keep their father bound and gagged in the basement. Margaret and Casey find their real dad and the plant dad, and the plant dad ends up getting axed by Margaret, destroys this creature with an axe, and draws blood from her father to determine if he's the real dad or a plant dad. And that's pretty metal. And so the real dad bleeds red blood, the fake dad is a plant, bleeds green blood, eats plant food, watches the Dodgers, and is just overall a miserable person to be around. After they exterminate the homunculus, the father and the children decide to have a decidedly non-vegan meal to end off the day, and that is where the book ends. Or does it? She's talking to this new plant outside, or she's listening to it rather, and it's all like, "I'm your real dad," that kind of meme. So it's like, ooh, is that plant her real dad? And is the dad that said he was the right one and bled red blood, is he still a fake dad? You'll never know, because he never made a sequel. But yeah, I don't think that necessarily the ending was indicating that the plant was her actual dad. I think it was more or less indicating that the plant dad wasn't the only experiment. There were other plants that were going to grow up to be plant dads. Too many dads, in my opinion. But yeah, if that sounds interesting to you, I highly suggest watching the special. The special's good for its natural campiness and nostalgia, and the book is just great. You should go read it, you should go watch the special, and you should see its splendor. And now that I've gushed about that, I will see you guys Friday. Catch you later.